called to order. Roll call, please.
Ms. Campbell?
Present.
Mrs. Grandison?
Here.
Mrs. Host?
Here.
Mr. Peters?
Here.
Mrs. Wolf?
Here. Okay, the Claymont City School District's vision is to provide each student an opportunity for a lifetime of success. And our mission is to create an environment that nurtures, develops, and empowers each student. Our next meeting will be June 9th at 6 p.m. here at the administrative offices. Are there any addendums, additions, or corrections? I'm having a hard time tonight. Okay, we are going to remove the executive session that is in the agenda. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Martha, second.
Let's do it.
Lois,
Me.
roll call.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison?
Yes.
Mrs. Host?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
And Mrs. Wolf?
Yes. Okay, I need a motion and a second to approve the special meeting agenda.
I'll move.
Solomon?
Yep.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Michelle? Roll call.
Wait, question real quick. Should be regular.
Should be
Regular. You know, I said that and thought, did we have a special meeting and I just missed it? Thank you, Martha,
Yep.
for catching that. Roll call.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison?
Yes.
And Mrs. Host?
Yes, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Martha, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, commendations. Mr. Wrench?
Yes. A couple weeks ago, I was up at the Senior Center for the Ray Kroc Youth Achievement Awards, and I had the opportunity to sit down and watch Livia Garbrandt receive her award, as well as 8th grader Easton Shinneberry. So I want to congratulate them on being chosen for the Ray Kroc Award. Ida Gorman, want to congratulate Ida. Ida has been nominated and will be receiving the top 20 under 40 years of age, the Stark County Award for the Canton Chamber. So I want to congratulate her on that award. Next, I'd like to bring up Jennifer, I apologize already, Jennifer Derlick from the Auditor's Office for an Auditor's Award for Mrs. Beckley.
You pronounced it correctly, so thank you. It's not easy. So thank you, Superintendent and Board, for letting me come to your meeting tonight. I appreciate that. Again, my name is Jennifer Derlick. I'm a regional liaison for the State Auditor's Office. So I represent Auditor Faber in the State Auditor's Office. And I'm here tonight to congratulate Kim Beckley and her staff on receiving a clean audit. So our office, they audit about 6,000 entities each year, and only about 17% of those entities receive a clean audit. So congratulations to Kim and her team for receiving a
I was just saying, we pictured it.
I mean, only 17%.
Thank you.
So congratulations, Kim, for your clean audit and being one of 17% of the schools and treasurers in Ohio to have clean audits. So congratulations. Next commendation I'd like to mention would be the Project Lead the Way. In Mr. Watkins' report, it highlighted with some pictures of those students who had a clean sweep at the Project Lead the Way. And I'll just say, and that was minus having all matching shirts. There were a couple schools there that had all matching garb on, but our kids looked fantastic without having a Claymont shirt on. And then the sweep Project Lead the Way. So I want to congratulate those students as well. And that's in his report as well. And then one thing that's not on there, I just want to congratulate all the Claymont Foundation Scholarship winners. And to congratulate and thank the Claymont Foundation for divvying out. I know Ms. Campbell has that number right off the top of her tongue as far as $100-some thousand.
$177,761. I really did have that.
So, it's outstanding, and the teacher grants that the teachers receive each year, if they apply, and it's nice for them to come and be honored as well. And then also those students who are seniors getting scholarships, and there were several students on the stage Saturday night that were 2 or 3 years into college that came back and received an award as well. So that's fantastic for that. And I don't have any other commendations unless someone else has something.
I'd like to do an accommodation for the middle school track team. The girls won the IBC this past week, and the boys, I believe, came in second. So they were runner-up. So I thought it was a wonderful showing. Watching the kids, it was mighty cold, but it was a very nice track meet. They did a wonderful job. So the middle school athletes, I want to say congratulations. A lot of hard work. Running is a tough sport.
And then I want to commend the Ms. Liner. Is that the band? Okay. I always pronounce her name. I always worry about saying that wrong. Anyway, on May 6th, the middle school and high school had their band concert at the high school. They all did a phenomenal job. I don't know if anybody recalls, but the drama department had raised money for a back screen that they used during their production that put up different animations. And so the band used that, and it was really cool. Like, it just enhanced their show, I thought. And I did email Miss Leinert and let her know how much I enjoyed it as well. So great job to them. Really good showing.
If you need something to do tomorrow night, the high school choir concert starts at 6 at the high school.
Okay, did you receive any requests? No requests for public participation. Okay. Administrators, does anybody have any additions to, I know, let's start with Mr. Watkins, if you can come up here, only because I know you have a little bit of a presentation, if that's okay.
Sorry, after I submitted my report, I realized I left off something that was important. We have 3 students going to the state Power of the Pen competition. Power of the Pen is a competitive writing, for those of you who don't know. We have a team, and from there's a district competition, a regional competition, and then a state competition. And we have 3 kids going, 2 8th graders, Aaliyah Murray and Kaylee Robinson, and a 7th grader, Madison Link. That will be at Ashland University next week, and I apologize for not putting that on, but I didn't want to leave those kids out because that's a pretty cool accomplishment.
I agree. Thank you for sharing that.
Question, I'm probably board related, but what, do they pre-write it, or so now when they're on the next question,
No.
the next competition, they have to write it while they're there?
Yeah, so we've been fortunate the last couple of years to host a district competition. It's kind of neat to see. So they're put into a room, they're given a writing prompt, and they only have a certain amount of time to write on that prompt. And then you have to provide judges, and then the judges read that. And it's based on creativity, grammar, punctuation, just overall writing. So no, they don't see the prompt until they're in the room. And then they only have a certain amount of time to write about that prompt.
And can use nothing to assist
Nothing.
them.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Congratulations to them.
Thank you.
Any, Ms. Barnhart?
Actually, I have a couple things. So just a reminder that senior awards night is this Thursday night at 6 o'clock at the high school. If you would like to come and see that, it doesn't take, it's 45 minutes, an hour, not too long, but it's just a great night to see the academics and the athletic awards that the kids are receiving. And then I just wanted to highlight something. On May 23rd is the seniors' last day, and they will take the bus tour around the district. This year, we're asking them to wear their cap and gowns for that. They'll go and do their picnic, and then Ms. Cook and I have been trying to coordinate. We're going to do a senior walk with the kindergartners this year. So the seniors on one end, the kindergartners on the other, and they're going to walk together. And then the seniors are going to pass on something to the kindergartners. So we don't know how it's going to go, but we're going to try it, and we're going to hope that it goes well. So I've already had parents reach out and say, "What is this? Can I come?" And it's in the front yard of Eastport, so sure. Come on down.
It'll probably be full of parents.
Yes, probably.
Some
Around
seniors.
all the schools like you did
Yes,
before.
yes.
the club.
Yes.
Say May 23rd.
The 23rd. Yes, I think it starts at 10. I'll have to make sure about the time, but yeah, the 23rd, because that's the seniors' last day. So, yep.
Great,
Yep.
thank you, Mrs. Barnhart. Any other administrators? Holly?
I just have a few more accommodations that I'd like to give.
Sure.
First of all, Mr. Wrench and your team at Central Office, CEA would like to thank you for providing lunch last week to all of our staff members. I also want to give a shout out to our PTO and those parents who work, especially at the primary levels, elementary. I just want to give a shout out to them for all that they do all year, fundraising. They're constantly providing snack for the kids, snacks for the teachers, and during teacher appreciation, we had like breakfast and we had coffee bar and then lunch. And so we had something, at least at our building, almost every day. So, and I know those parents, I know we're down, it's whittling down. We really don't have enough parents wanting to help, and the parents that do step up, I just wanted to give them a shout out because what they've done as far as, you know, buying stuff for the building or the teachers or whatever the district needs. Like, we just got a picnic table for outside at recess for our littles who are falling, who have a broken arm or who have something that they can't be running around. And so they have a place to go where they're not just sitting on the ground, you know, trying to play. So they got us a picnic table. Just different things like that. So I wanted to give all of our PTO through our whole district a shout out. And then last but not least, I want to give a last shout out to Kim Watkins. She filled out a grant opportunity through ECOEA, which is East Central Ohio Education Association, for Mustang Pride. And we got little stuffed Mustangs for our preschool through 5th grade, all of the classrooms. We did kind of at the primary, we did an assembly with the littles. Thank you, high school. They sent the mascot out with cheerleaders, with our littles. They just love seeing that huge mascot. And they're just like, so we've had in the past through Mustang Pride in the past years, we've had littles who are like, what's a Mustang? What's, you know, Claymont Pride? What's Spirit Day? So they dressed up in their colors. They came, all the classrooms got the little stuffies. And so each classroom, I think they're going to name their Mustang. They got a little history. We had some historians from our teachers that still have parents. So basically this year is the 60th anniversary of it being Claymont. So if you didn't know that, some of it I didn't even know, even though I've been here a very long time. So we just want to thank ECOEA for that public relations grant and Kim Watkins for filing that grant for us and able to do something for Mustang Pride and our building to help promote what our district is about and our school spirit. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Lloyd. Anybody else before Mrs. O'Connor gets up? Okay, the floor is yours, Mrs. O'Connor.
You guys all have a printout, and I have to, for IDEA, I am required to hold a public meeting to discuss our funds every year. So you have a copy of, basically, this will be on the website and just our presentation. So for this IDEA funding for the 24-25 school year, our funds were $492,402.87. We had $12,473.75 carryover. So our total funds were over $500,000. We, there are, as you can see listed, I'm not going to read through all these numbers, but you can see what's budgeted for salaries, fringe benefits, supplies, and purchase services. Our non-public, which would be St. Mary's and their purchase services, is $20,215.95. And the district spends in excess on special education services over $4.2 million every year. So there's a lot of money that goes into making sure that our students are provided the services that they need. And we are making sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that they're taken care of. So our purchase services include evaluation, behavioral support services, occupational therapy services, and physical therapy services. For our personnel, we employ 20 intervention specialists, 1.5 school psychologists, and a half behavioral specialists, the same person for one of them, 3 speech pathologists, 1 occupational therapist, 1 occupational therapist assistant, physical therapist assistant, and 35 paraprofessionals, and that includes classroom aides, ISS aides, bus aides, and our library aides. We do contract the OT, the PTA, and the PT through ESC, and next year we will be also contracting our OTA through the ESC. Currently, we have 17.1, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling. 17.16% of our student population is identified as having a disability. That's just a little bit above the average of 16% for the state. Any questions on that? Lots of numbers I have to rattle off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for Buckeye, we are selling a house tomorrow. So if anybody needs a house, we're selling one. So it starts at 6 o'clock, but
Auction?
auction starts at 6. Yep, walkthrough starts, they've had a couple open houses and walkthrough starts at 5:30 for it, so. Any board discussion items or new business? Okay, no. Treasurer's report and recommendations.
Okay, I'll go through my presentations first. We'll start with the, for April to, at a glance. Yep, that one. I don't even have to print it out, so I gotta go through here. So general funds, we're 10 months through the fiscal year, and 83% is about where we should be at this point. We're at 87.19%. This is up 0.14 over last year. Interest is just shy of $350,000 this year. We did receive the rest of our property taxes through rollback and homestead this month, and we also received the Medicaid reimbursement. That was for the fiscal year 23 audit. That we got a little bit over $140,000 back. I did file for threshold costs, which is for the kids that exceed a certain dollar figure of that we paid towards their education. I think there was 13 of them we filed for this year. Boy, those didn't follow through at the bottom very well. And I see a typo right there. 10 months again, 83%. We're at 80.48% for the expenditures. That's up 2.78% over last year. 83.44% of salaries and benefits. So total revenues, we're just shy of $20 million with total expenses at 18.3. We did have a deficit spend in April, 231,000. But as a fiscal year, we are still at a surplus at $1.5 million with a true days cash of 145. And there's our April expenditures for state and federal programs, 115,521, and then lunch program was 85,000. And then we will use the PDF the next time. They're all out of whack. Yeah. So we're ending at the end of April with a total fund balance of just over $10.1 million. Oh, no. Go ahead. Yes, I'm sure. So we are still dealing with the biennial budget. It passed through the House last month. It is in the Senate now. They had invited in public testimony last Wednesday, and they are having it again this Wednesday. BASA, OASBO, OEA, ASBA, and the Alliance of Higher Quality Education were all given invited testimony for at the Senate. There also, last Wednesday, the House Ways and Means Committee had heard those 3 House bills that have to do with property taxes. because they're still looking at some type of property tax reform.
I want to interrupt here for the House Bill 96, we're still at the Senate. Our Senator Al Landis needs to hear from us in regards to that. I was at a meeting Thursday and Friday, and we had two House representatives that were there that spoke. Don Johnson, who was out in Cadiz, and Jody Salvo, who lives up in Dover area. They stated at our meeting that they weren't satisfied with the House budget proposal. They'd like to see it different, but in politics, things go different ways. They said stay diligent with our senator, that way that he can hear our story. You know, the 30% carryover money, most districts need that money to carry over into the next year. It's like a savings account. So you have that savings account that helps pay the bills the next year into the next year. So if we're sitting at 33 and reduce some of our percent to 30 is what they're saying at the moment, we may not be able to meet certain payroll requirements or pay certain bills. Also, going back into pushing through the Fair School funding formula. That started in 2018, the Fair School funding formula. And it was funding per enrollment as equally as possible and for what we could possibly have. Every year since, and Kim, I'll have to rely on to you, but going back to probably about 2016, the state was funding the schools at 42%. Average. Now it's like 32% average. Why are they saying that? They're saying, well, because you guys have the means to do it yourself. You know, do it yourself means a school levy. That's the only other option that you have to do that if you want to maintain. So on average, it's gone down. It's really hurt. And Mr. Landis needs to hear that piece of it because we're not functioning or be able to function if that continues. And with a reducing to the 30%. So fair school funding worked. You know, as I stated at the meeting that I was at last week, we all got on that because it was as equal as possible. So in 1995, the DeRolf case was filed on behalf of school funding wasn't fair. And here we're sitting in 2025 and the House of Representatives say, keep it in there, but we're not going to fund the school that way. And it was cut out of there because the state says we don't have the money. Why don't we have the money? Because the last House Bill 33, our taxes were reduced. So when our taxes were reduced, the state doesn't have enough money. And when the state doesn't have enough money, they don't have enough money to help fund the schools properly. And then they're saying, that's okay, because you can take care of it yourself. So that would mean we would have to go to the voters to continue and maintain the things the way they are. Mr. Landis needs to hear this. He needs to fix the problem before it's too late. So I think, do you have his email on one of these slides?
It was on last month. I
Okay,
didn't
last
keep it
month,
on there,
okay.
Just to clarify, both of those representatives, Representative Johnson and Representative Salvo, voted yes on the budget. Now they want you to go after Mr. Landis, so he does not agree with what they have.
That is absolutely
And they
correct.
don't have money to fund education, but they have money to fund $600 million for Cleveland's new stadium,
Why
correct?
didn't they,
Yeah.
did they give you a reason
Clarify.
why they voted yes?
I'm sorry?
They said that there were certain pieces that were good, other pieces that were bad, but as looking for the overall, that they felt that that's the way they needed to go with the vote.
Politics.
Yes.
Yeah, the politics of it.
Very
And
much so.
as I told Representative Salvo, I said, you know, I know that Mr. Jones, he's a longtime educator from out at Harrison Central. He taught there till he retired to become a state rep. And Jody, I consider her an educator because she worked at Ohio Guidestone and was working with our schools.
Right.
So if you're not going to change the voucher system, if you're going to continue the voucher system as is, then you better level the playing field.
Right.
You know, the test that we have to take within public education, and also those that are going charter or private schools, let them pay for their own transportation. We still have to transport kids who take the voucher and choose to go to another school. So we bus them to Dover St. Joe, or we bus them to TCC, or we bus them over here to Immaculate Conception.
And
That's
when
on
they're
our
getting
dime.
reimbursed.
That's not on their dime. But they're already taking our money to educate them. So I'm not gonna get on my soapbox entirely, but
all right.
Representative Salvo, and Jones, yes, they voted, but politics, but they said stay after the Senate. And so that's where Al Landis needs to hear our
So
voice.
what they said was, is we didn't do our job, so go after somebody else who did their
Correct.
job.
Yes.
Well, and,
you.
and Representative Salvo, I also asked myself and Brian if we would be interested in representing like this area then too. She's putting together, what was it, like 3 different representatives? And hopefully, so we could explain our story from rural, Tuscarawas County, especially with one of the reps that's more up north, that he is all for the property tax reform and taking it away. So we're hoping within the next couple of weeks that we would maybe be going and speaking in front of some other
And
people.
the thing is, the property tax reform is, it was said this recently, voters voted to increase property tax for the school. So now you're saying the voters don't know what they were doing when they passed the property tax. So now we're going to fix it and take back what you don't need. Because if you know anything about school funding, you pass a levy at 3 mills, you collect that 3 mills, and maybe that 3 mills brings in you $300,000. I'll just keep it simple. And that goes for 5 years. That flatlines for 5 years. You go for renewal. What do you collect? $300,000. It doesn't go up with inflation. It flatlines entirely. So if you need more money, you go for a new levy, and then that would then become off of our appraisals at that point in time. So where a voter said, you need that money, this is what you need it for, we pass it. But now the legislations are saying, well, those voters didn't know what they were doing. You don't need it.
I just wanted to say May 20th is Lobby Day in Columbus. I know several districts in Tuscarawas County are taking treasurers, board members, superintendents, along with teachers. So if that's something the board, treasurer, or Mr. Rich would like more information on, I can get that to you.
Please.
What day was, did you say?
May
that?
20th.
May 20th. And it's all on this issue.
So I'll step off my soapbox.
Okay.
You're okay, I liked it.
Okay. Twice a year, I have to do a 5-year forecast. One was in November. This is kind of more of an update. But this one is kind of harder because not knowing what our state funding is going to be and not knowing kind of what real property taxes is, because also with property taxes right now, every 3 years, you either have a reappraisal or an update in your county. And Tuscarawas County is in an update year. So they are looking for valuations to go up in with this update. So it's been kind of hard. So I've done the best. Yep. So real estate, ODE funding, and utilities. So property tax revenues over this last year decreased by $14,000, but tangible personal property and utilities increased by 118. There I explained about the property tax reappraisals and updates. So we will see in the fall what our valuations go to. The Ohio School Fund, wait a minute. We were phased in with the fair school funding at 66.67. We were supposed to go for the next 2 years and get the final phase in, but with the biannual budget going through the legislation now, it's a coin flip if they're going to keep that within there. It is in jeopardy of not continuing, and this year we were on the guaranteed, which means that we wouldn't get, see, it cuts things off by doing that. Yeah, we're on the guaranteed funding, which means that we wasn't going to receive any less than fiscal year 21 this year. So go ahead. So total revenue for fiscal year 24, we were at 22.6 million. We came in just a little bit higher this year, estimating to finish around 22.8 million. And expense wise, we followed the negotiated agreements. Premiums this year for insurance purposes went up 6.48% and 3.95% for dental. The initial reports that I received from the Stark County Call is for next year, they're looking at a 4.97% increase for medical and prescription and 0% for dental and vision, which I was happy with that 5% when I was hearing other districts going from like 8 to 12%. So purchase services, those are your utility costs. Alternative school placements with transportation has really hit our purchase services too, and substitute teacher costs are considered in that. Supplies continue to escalate with inflation and the tariffs that are going into place. Some have already added some extra costs because of those tariffs. We're looking at purchasing the curriculum and Chromebooks that had previously been spent out of ESSER funds, now will be in the general funds. The equipment I have lowered in the preceding years now because we're going to have this the permanent improvement fund being collected through property taxes that will help us take it away from our general fund. So this year, I'm estimated about 22.8 million coming out of expenses. So looking ahead, I didn't update the fiscal years. Please, the first one would be this year, fiscal year 25, and then through 29. So those were our days of cash according of how I've projected the revenues and the expenses out. And then those are the percentages of salaries and benefits. We're always hovering between that 80 and 85%. And basically, I flatline state funding through this, so that's why it even goes up even higher for our revenue sake on that portion of the forecast. And so break-even point would be as if our revenue and our expenses totaled each other. So we're looking to come up just right above break even for this fiscal year, but then as you see, we deficit spend for the next 4 years.
And that would be the story that we need to be telling whenever we talk to our legislators, because you look at that, under that current, and she just guesstimating, what, $254 million in deficit by fiscal year 29.
Yeah.
And once again, I go back to, because, you know, she gives us these numbers, but she really is guessing because it's based on a 2-year budget. But yet they want her always to be able to go out 5 years and tell us what's going to happen. So it really is very difficult to do this. And it could change, but we're never going to know until the next biennial budget.
And that was one of the other things to discuss Thursday at our meeting was they're looking to do maybe a 3-year instead of a 5-year. But we were even saying, well, what's even a 3-year, because your budget is 2 years. So you're either going to know 2 years and have another year, or you're going to be in the middle of one and guess for 2 years. So it's, yeah, do the best we can. And then the next slide, we should still be about 7.5 million in our carryover. And but by the end of the 5 years, it's down to about 1.9 million. And at the end of April, month-end balances within the athletics, the classroom facilities. That classroom facility was when we had the bond issue to build the high school. We had to collect like $500,000. We still have some money left in there, but it's specific of what it can be used on. Permanent improvement, we have that money in there, but that's paying the loan payment for the stadium and field house and the high school roof. And then the general fund was at about $9 million. Any questions over April's or the 5-year forecast?
Being no questions, I'll take a motion and a second to approve the treasurer's items.
So moved.
Martha
I'll second it.
and Lois.
Okay, on my, so I have the financial reports for April, the payment of bills for April. There was one board minutes for the April 14th meeting. renewal to stay with Minutemen HR for our workers' compensation, and that's still at a group rating we qualified for. And then in your board update, I had mentioned about how Beth, Bill, and I had met with this modern office methods about switching out our copiers, and it would give us some savings. So that is a 5-year lease that's on there, and then the 5-year forecast and the related assumptions.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison,
Yes.
Mrs. Host,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
and Mrs. Wolf.
Yes. Superintendent's recommendations?
I have the following items for Beth Kopp. It's officially retiring July 1st. So I want to welcome and congratulate her in her retirement. We do have some 1-year limited teaching contracts pending their credentialing. One of them is here tonight, Leah Maurer. She'll be a preschool intervention specialist at step 0. She's here, and I told her, don't run away because you guys will probably want to congratulate her after. And Madison Rummel is the other who will be at the intermediate building. We do have a retiree hire with Michelle Haberfield. She'll be at step 0, Masters 15. She's retiring from Cambridge City Schools. Knew that we needed somebody for a year due to a leave of absence, and Mrs. Miles and I interviewed a couple candidates and thought this would be our best fit. So we're going to have Mrs. Haberfield joining us next year. We have in an update, I explained to you regarding Spencer Milburn. So we have to RIF Spencer. Then we had to pay him at a 1838 for the week that he was off RIF in between jobs. And then whenever we recalled him so he could start his other job the 14th. Okay, so that's all due to negotiated agreement on that. We have some summer custodial custodians for this summer. Susie Shepard, Sarah McPherson, who's sitting in the way back, Jennifer Golick, and Jackie Carpenter. And then we have summer custodian at Gavin Milburn at $12.70. So Gavin has been subbing for the district for the last couple months, and Mr. Smith says he does a fantastic job. So we need that additional help and support. We do have some classified contracts for going into next year. We have some 2-year limited contracts. Under the certified contracts, we have 1-year limited, we have some 2-year limited, and we have a continuing contract for Kristen Trimmer. We do have some administrative contracts for Ms. Cook, Mrs. O'Connor, and Mrs. Miles. We have a Danielle Downing. She's at bus aide, and she'll be hired under a 1-year limited contract with a 90-day probationary period. And she's going through the credentialing process at this time. We had Colin Clark and Vince Tarakitis. They took their teams and competed and swept up at the Project Lead the Way, so we're paying them for their time while they were there. The elementary and the primary handbooks for next school year. The nutrition group, we do have representatives from the nutrition group here tonight, so we are accepting their proposal for next school year for food service. We have a list of graduates for the class of 25, pending that they meet the proper credentials set forth by the state of Ohio and the Claymont Board of Education, and graduation will be the 30th of May at 6 p.m. We have an overnight 6th grade field trip next school year, so Mrs. Henry is on the top of it, so that'll be the 24th through the 26th out at Leesville Lake. The athletic handbook for the athletes. We have the clinic lease agreement for the Altman Orville Hospital. And then we have the YMCA to use our buses for summer field trips.
Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Martha, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Michelle. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Wolf,
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison,
Yes.
Mrs. Host,
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Now, the next item, it would be to approve the 1-year administrative contract for Jessica Marsh at the intermediate print.
Need a motion?
So moved.
I'll make it, second it.
Second by Lois. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to just say a couple things. I was elected to vote the way that I want to vote, not to make the board look good by having unanimous votes or anything like that. I'm in the business of voting the way I was elected to vote and representing the people who elected me. I've spoken to many people about the situation over there at the intermediate building. And I'm voting on the grounds of that, we've lost too many students, we've had too much staff turnover, and the atmosphere over there is beyond repair with the current leadership. So I just want to say that's why I'm voting the way that I'm voting.
And I agree with Saul. I'm not going to repeat all that, but I do agree with everything you just said.
Roll call.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison,
Yes.
Mrs. Host,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
No.
and Mrs. Wolf.
No.
Next couple items, we have, so for Mr. Jones, for the athletic department, we do have some wrestling coaches for next school year, a bowling assistant, basketball for boys and girls golf. And also we have a list of volunteers for the wrestling program.
Any motion? I'll make the motion.
Second it?
Lois. Any discussion on that? Roll call.
Mrs. Host,
Yes.
Mrs. Grandison,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Abstain.
and Mrs. Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Martha,
I'll second it.
Michelle. So the record reflects 6:41 PM.
There, I think is where it starts. Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes.